Right now it is time to ring in the frickin' frack of Nick and Knack, Tim, Luke, and Greg Strahm, the Appraisal Guys. You can find them at their website, Treasure Quest Appraisal Group, which is tqag.com on the web. And on a Tuesday morning, you can find them roosting right here at Robin Hood Radio. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's the weather in Florida?
Oh, beautiful sunny this morning, and the temperature right now is 79.
All right. Well, we're at 57, but we'll catch up to you sooner or later. All right. I found an article, and it's something we really haven't talked about a lot. I don't know if we've talked about it at all. And it's the art and young people. There's a story here that in Hong Kong, Phillips is selling artwork by a 10-year-old, and they expect it to sell for as much as $50,000. The work is done by a kid by the name of Andres Valencia, and I'm looking at his stuff, and it's really pretty amazing. There isn't that much of young people like this being auctioned off, is there?
No, but it does bring up a story that we actually experienced with one of our clients, and she had a piece of art hanging in her kitchen, and every time somebody came in, they said, "Oh, is this a Picasso?" Turns out it was done by her 4-year-old grandson. And people offered her a lot of money for it. And this was what, Tim, probably 15, 20 years ago?
Oh,
so
easily.
But it is kind of unusual. But there are these, I guess you would call them phenoms. But I'm wondering if I haven't read the article, but did he, how long has he been doing this? And for 10 years old, I mean,
well, he started painting, and then some entrepreneurs saw his paintings, and actors saw his paintings and started purchasing them. Brooke Shields, Channing Tatum. I mean, and if you do a search for him, which is Andres, Andres Valencia.
Oh my God! I just pulled it up.
His work is absolutely astounding.
Oh, holy smoke! That's really beautiful stuff. I mean, this is wow, and it's intricate too. I mean, it's you wonder what goes through a 10-year-old's mind to have this kind of depth of understanding of what he's doing. It's really remarkable.
I don't know what to classify it as, what type of art to classify it as, but it really is contemporary, and it really is astounding to me. It just really is.
It looks as though, just from looking at the paintings that are in the background, some of them look like even at 10 years old, that there's a Picasso influence on some of these things. And it's different than what we would see, like, for example, for street art. This is museum quality art, and he would be a fascinating interview. I would really. I mean, really. What is a 10-year-old? What is his perception at 10 years old that gives him this amazing insight?
Right.
He's only been around 10 years, and he probably didn't start painting until he was like maybe 3, and he's 10. So let's say within 7 years, he has a grasp on the of the art world, at least for his purposes.
Right.
And why did he start? How did he start? What is he? You know,
Tim, what do you think about the pictures? Have you seen them?
Yeah, no, I have, and I think that they're really developed, and I think that's why you have a number of people that have uh, been drawn not only to the artwork, but even to have you, Marshall, just say, "Wow, there is something about that." That's the beauty of art, is how it talks to you. So there's the beauty of art and everything that goes along with it. Then there's the market of art and the marketing. It's that whole thing. Art isn't easy, and trying to put a whole business together. But there were obviously investors that also saw the potential, or saw that there's real talent here, and it'll be interesting to see where that goes, because just like with any artist, they go through their phases, and as far as development and what's going to happen. But to be already offered at auction at age 10, that's pretty significant.
Yeah. What do you like? The question is, his family must have exposed him to art. Must have,
Right.
because it's just like I said. I wouldn't have seen a 10-year-old's name attached to that, I still would have been amazed at the beauty of the work. Just absolutely amazing.
Right. Right.
Okay, let's go to a story, and this is. I often wonder what goes through people's minds. A Slovenian museum director had to resign. Why? Well, she organized the show, works by Picasso, and others, but they were all forgeries. Why would a museum director organize a show like that?
Oh my goodness!
What goes through your mind?
Well, that's a big oops. Oh my goodness! It begs the very first question: is did she really know? What the art was? So that's the first thing.
Well, the works were acquired originally belonged to Croatia's former national affairs minister. So obviously she thought they obviously had some value.
Or
real.
Right, that there was credibility.
Yeah. But
well, what it sounds like is that there wasn't enough research done prior to accessioning these works to really get the background of either the provenance or background on the what the history of the pieces were, and I think the one thing that sticks out in my mind is the word catalog raisonné. So if you're a museum director, that would be the first thing you should look for, is to find out whether or not these works appear in an artist's catalog raisonné. I mean, not that every artist's pieces always appear. Some of them, might have been one-offs. But for the most part, all of the majority of the art in the world, this might be a general statement, but I think most of the major artists in the world, they know where most of the art is and where it came from. So, bad. She what is it? I'm bad, or so well, she should have known better.
Well, but one of the quotes that I see here is an art expert from that part of the world said the following: "These are clear forgeries. You don't need to be an art history expert to notice it." Also, the thing that stood out was that if the value, if it was a true collection, would have been over $1 billion. So you add the fact that this museum has $1 billion worth of art that they're showing. No wonder it stuck out like a sore thumb.
Right.
Well, that brings up a point about that, because one or two in a collection might be harder to discover than if you have an entire exhibition.
Yeah.
So
Well, the whole thing too goes to, once they get a stamp of approval, it is, I mean, it gives it that provenance, that it elevates the piece because it's been exhibited at a museum. So if the exhibition did go on, then that would have given the collection or the individual pieces that little
validity.
bit of extra validity, that bump. And wow, that they I mean, basically it's so interesting. I mean, 24 hours before it was supposed to open, and they got rid of all the catalogs, the exhibition catalogs. They took it off the website. They're basically disavowing the whole thing, that the whole thing ever happened. They're saying, no, we don't know. No, that wasn't here. Wow.
No, there's a funny article, and I don't mean to be political here, but it's a funny article because it takes me back to the time when you auctioned off that little drawing of the Empire State Building by Donald Trump. In Art World, the headline is, "Art Industry News, we regret to inform you that Glenn Beck is an artist now."
Oh, goodness. Oh.
Well,
why not jump on the bandwagon?
well, he's got to. Well, that's one thing I'll say about people that follow people like Glenn Beck and stuff like that. The audience members, they'll buy the stuff. They will. They'll buy the stuff.
Yeah.
I appreciate when George Bush retired, when he was no longer president. Everybody made fun of him because he started to paint. Well, you know what? He didn't ballyhoo and make it big. Somebody released the pictures on him,
right.
and he's kept painting. And you know what? He didn't do it for any other reason that, it kind of filled his time and kind of quieted things down for him. And by the way, to see his paintings now as to when he first started, he has improved, but he doesn't think about selling those paintings.
No.
And you look at Glenn Beck. I just thought that was a funny headline. I just thought it was a funny headline. Is it going to be worth? Is it going to be worth something in the future?
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. It's kind of, if he enjoys it himself, okay, but I can't imagine he's going to, if it sells, it's going to be something that is just a curiosity. That's my point of view. But if you stop and think about it, I can't even believe I'm going to put these two names together in the same sentence: Glenn Beck as an artist and Winston Churchill as an artist. Now, he didn't paint he painted for himself, and he was actually quite good. But he didn't. Maybe like Glenn Beck, he didn't go into it as a money-making proposition. It was, his way of just expressing himself. So that's one thing. But now that this is out, I can see where this could head, and that is, an art show, and then it's just. They're going to show up. He's going to be doing doodles, and it'll be the same thing as the Donald Trump thing. So I don't know. It is kind of humorous, I must say, but he probably doesn't find it so funny.
And to wrap up with the story once again, what the hell were they thinking? A French museum agency ignored red flags when it advised the Louvre Abu Dhabi to purchase antiquities, and once again, they weren't what they were supposed to be.
No, they weren't.
Well, I guess that's the whole thing. Whenever you're pitching something to a country or that has tons and tons of money, maybe you think you're going to sneak by with it.
Right. Well, it goes back to our earlier conversation. One or two pieces might make it through, but to sell a bunch of these. That's definitely that would be a red flag, and it's pretty bold and pretty ballsy for somebody to just put it out there and say, well, let's just go with it and see what happens.
These
yeah.
Well, Jim, for someone like you, that is an auctioneer that does deal with valuable things, and Greg, you do investigation and you find out things like this. Stories like this must really bother you because, once again, it puts a negative influence on the auction world.
On the auction world, on appraisers, on just
on the art world as well.
The art world in general, right? The credibility that is there, and so we're seeing this more and more, and a lot of it is because of the rising and increasing value of artwork and artifacts. That we've said this before with these criminal stories, is that if they put all that money and hard work into creating the fakes, if they did something nice, like good for humanity, just think where we would be. It's makes it very difficult, and we become more skeptical when people come to us. I know over the years we both have, is when they say, oh, we've got this great find, and it's like, okay, we have to put it through just a rigor of tests just to make sure, because there are so many creative pieces out there, fake pieces out there. Maybe they purchased something under the idea that this was one thing, and then it turns out to be another. It's so you have to really do your due diligence, and it does. It becomes frustrating, and it does become difficult.
Well, I think what it boils down to is one word: money,
Yep.
and greed. Because if you think in the past 15 or 20 years, the art market and some of the discoveries that have been made, and the sales and the amount of money that has been made in the sales of art, it's very tempting to see how far you can push the envelope, how far to the line can you get before you're discovered. And there's a tremendous amount of money at stake here, and the people who are doing it are not thinking about the real art market. They're thinking about how they can ride in on the coattails of a Jackson Pollock and make a fake Jackson Pollock, and how much they can get for it, not thinking that it's going to do anything to the real Jackson Pollock. But what's the first thing somebody asks when they want to buy a piece of art or look at a piece of art? Is it a fake? That is a sad commentary when you have to look at a magnificent piece of art that you haven't seen before, and the first thing you ask is this real? And there was a time when you would look at something like, let's take for example the Salvatore Mundi. What? How many years is that? About 5 years or so? And it's still in the news. It's still controversial, and they still haven't. Even though they said they've come up and said it's authentic, there is still doubt. And there will always be doubt attached to that. And there's actually value in that. Believe it or not, there's value
right.
in that. In that. So it boils down to greed, is what it boils down to, and I think it's, I hope they all, I hope they get caught. That's all I can say.
I know.
And we'll end on a piece of good note. Remember Cheech and Chong? Cheech Marin has put together with a museum a collection of Latino art. And it's going to open up with his paintings, okay? But it is something to focus in at the Riverside Art Museum. It's going to hold 500 works of art, and it's being done to exhibit a different form of art from a different segment, ethnicity, population, which isn't really featured heavily.
I don't know if you've ever seen any of his things, but this has come up in the past in some appraisals. But it's really some nice things. There's something. It's fun. It's it's very thoughtful. I mean, it's a serious. It's there again. He might not have started to be a commercial artist, but now he's entering into that world, and I think it's rightfully so, because his things are they're good. I mean, they, at least I mean, I think they are. I enjoy looking at them, and this is I think it's a validation that he is for lack of a better word, up and coming as an artist.
Well, the great thing about it is it's called the Cheech Marin Center for Chicago Art and Culture, which is going to focus people's attention on Latino art. All different artists. It's 61,000 square feet, and it's gonna just feature exhibitions dealing with that type of art. I think Chicano art. I think that's what I think is so special about it.
Oh, absolutely. And he's using his fame and name recognition to also help bolster these other artists. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, that we had to stick a heartwarming story in there.
Right, absolutely.
Well, so now with that, we're officially into summer. Timmy, you sound like you're relaxed, and you're not hopping all over the country this week.
Relaxed, yeah. Well, this week, I'm home this week, and next week I'll be in New York after that. And we have several things that we're working on over the summer. So not as hectic a schedule, which is good, but that could always change tomorrow. So we'll see.
Now, do you guys still golf? Do you guys still golf?
I haven't for a while, but I want to get back out there so bad. Having a little hip issue right now. So.
Hey,
it's called age.
Well, I know. Hey, at 69, between my knees and my ankles, I look at my golf clubs wistfully and say, maybe one day, maybe one day. All right, guys. I want you to have a good week, and we'll speak to you next week.
Okay, have a great one.
Take care, buddy.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Tim, Luke, and Greg Strahm, the Appraisal Guys, the frickin' frack of Nick and Knack with Appraise. This, TQAG.com on the web.